We had a Bill 89 before that. We were unable to garner the support we needed to pass Board Bill 89. And so we reintroduced the bill in the next session. The Board of Alderman session goes from April to May, and then it starts over. So we introduced a new and rather revised bill that was given the number Board Bill 69 in actually April 29th of 2005. We worked our supporters at that time until March of 2006, actually March 10th of 2006. We were able to pass a bill for civilian review in the city of St. Louis, which was the first bill of its kind to be passed by the Board of Aldermen. It had several major components. One, it established that particular department. Two, it had independence from the police force. Three, the members of the civilian review, we had a compromise. We agreed with the mayor to have the ability to appoint these individuals, but the mayor would appoint them from recommendations from the Board of Aldermen. And then that final recommendation that the board comes up with, that the mayor comes up with, have to be approved by the Board of Aldermen. That was just to ensure that a wider body of individuals would have input on who are the individuals to review these complaints. The board bill also set out the parameters for the Civilian Review Board. The board was able to take in complaints from citizens against the St. Louis Police Department, or members of the St. Louis Police Department, of alleged misconduct. That misconduct could also include racial slurs and other breaches of conduct and laws within the city of St. Louis. That board would have the authority then to accept the complaints and to involve themselves in review and investigation of those complaints. At that time, in 2006, St. Louis's police force was still under the control of the state, and therefore there was a separate board of police commissioners who had more authority over the control of the police than the city of St. Louis did, and certainly of the Board of Aldermen. In fact, there was a state statute that said that the Board of Aldermen could not interfere with the functioning of the St. Louis Board of Police Commissioners and the St. Louis police force. They made that pretty clear. Keep your hands on. So the Board Bill 69 did require, after passage by the Board of Aldermen, that the Board of Police Commissioners would review it and have to adopt that ordinance as a part of their functioning before it could be implemented. So the question could be asked if the Board of Police Commissioners at that time had the ability to determine a civilian review board. Two questions come up. One, why have they never done it? And two, why then even go to the Board of Aldermen to do it? Several answers. One, throughout the country, some of the most successful police review boards have always been created through a legislative process and not an administrative process. The Board of Police Commissioners is an administrative body and could not legislate the creation of a board of a civilian review board. Why is that essential? Because in most, both local, state, and at this point even federal government, it is the legislative body that holds the various types of public hearings that involve citizen input, not the administrative branch of government. Think of what happens with the Board of Aldermen when it has its public hearings that it's required to have, the series of them. Also, since these are elected officials that come directly up out of the communities that people elect them to represent, there is a level of comfort in these individuals having these public hearings and shaping legislation to reflect the community. The Board of Police Commissioners, you know, at that time were appointed by the governor, who was in Jefferson City, and it's been a long time since there's been a governor from the city of St. Louis who had no real understanding or sensitivity to the needs of this city, yet they would have the power and authority to appoint a police board in the city of St. Louis. So some of us, that felt like a occupying force as opposed to representation from out of our community. So this board bill that was introduced in April of 2005 and finally passed, with a few changes, we had what was called a floor substitute that finally passed on March 10th, 2006, was a landmark piece of legislation, one for St. Louis, and really throughout the country. We got national attention on that one. the fact that the size of the city of St. Louis, one was passing it with its problems and issues, was able to pass a civilian review board for the first time in its history. You keeping me on time? I'm not over. I'm over. You have how many? 3 or 4. 3 or 4.